Hello guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about automations and the importance of setting up your automations correctly. Now, if you don't know me, I'm called Mikkel. I've built a company with my business partner Christian where we help coaches, consultants, trainers and such completely automate their client acquisition through our reliable systems because we believe coaches, consultants, and trainers should be spending their time doing what they love instead of marketing. We believe marketers should be marketing instead. Now, first of all, let's set clear expectations about what I meant with automations. Now, an automation is something that something you can set up to do a task automatically, that it just gets done even though you don't have to put in any inputs. Now, for a semi-automatic system, then you still have to put in some kind of input and then you get an output. Now, the biggest difference between a semi-automatic and an automatic is just the input. You have more control over the inputs on a semi-automatic than on an automatic system. So I would highly recommend if you're going to set up automations, set it up to be semi-automatic, at least with the leads you are sending, for example, the email to. Then I would highly recommend setting it up to be excuse me, setting it up to be semi-automatic. You still have to put in the leads. Now, finding good leads is actually pretty easy, especially if what you're wanting to get are males, then no worries. And primarily for automated systems, it would be some kind of DM system, email system, those kinds of things. So outbound. Cold calling is another boss. It's a whole nother thing in of itself, but you can still set it up to be automatic. You just have to get employees or someone else to do it. Then you can set it up to be automatic. But you also have to always remember to really optimize a system, you first have to run it yourself. If you haven't run it, then you won't know anything about the system. You won't know the ins and outs or the potential loopholes that you can leverage to get benefits from. Now, just from one of the previous videos that got uploaded to the YouTube channel, I talked about the importance of running your own systems first before you outsource it. Simply because if you set up an automation, for example, and then you set it up with the knowledge you have before you run the system, then you will put in so many extra steps that are unnecessary. From running it yourself and being the lazy human beings we are, we will try to optimize running it. So running it for 5 weeks, you will get to know every single aspect of it, everything that is necessary and what is unnecessary. Then you will optimize the automation so that every single piece that is necessary is in there and that the ones that are unnecessary are not in there. And then it'll be quicker, it will run more smoothly, and everything will just be better. Now, there are also a lot of different ways you can set up an automation. You can use some kind of automation software. For example, you can use Instantly with emails to send emails out. That's one way you can do it, or you can do it on a more manual way, getting an employee, a VA from the Philippines, for example, to do it for you. Then it's still automatic. You just have to, instead of paying a software to do it, you just have to pay another person. So that instead of a software, it's more like hardware. And then there's another way as well. Instead of using a software someone else has made, you can, for example, code your own system. Now, I have personally coded our email system, just at least the sending aspect of it with follow-ups, image recognition. You may not know what image recognition is. It's where it compares one image to another and then recognizes them. But you just set it up like that, and then technically you don't have to pay for any software then. Then you just have to run it on your own machine, which you can do in the background. So you have to also find out how much time do you have available, how much money do you have available, and how important is it for you to actually get it automated right now. Because I can always almost promise you, you get way more out of it with running your system for 5 weeks than running it for 2 weeks and then using 3 weeks to actually get it set up to be automatic. You learn so many more aspects of your system from running it for 5 weeks. For example, Christian and I, we were like probably a, a really good example of what not to do with at least our email system. We uh, we never actually sent emails on our own. That's a dangerous thing to do. So we never really understood exactly how to do it. We had some SOPs from someone else we knew who sent it over to us on how to run such a system, and we just sent it over to our VA. Then the VA read it through and then began to do the work. But we never really understood exactly how he did it. So when we got to the point where, you know what, instead of having another person do it, we can just do it ourselves with an automation. But then we had to learn everything about sending the emails, how to set them up correctly, everything like that. We had to learn from scratch pretty much. We had some foundational knowledge, but we hadn't run the system ourselves. So when we tried to set it up to be completely automatic, we set ourselves up for failure. Instead of just biting the bullet and doing it ourselves for 5 weeks, we pain avoided and then just tried to set it up with an automation at like probably after 3 days. That's also why it kind of failed. Then it never really got up and running, and we did it manually as well. Then we forgot that. Oh yeah, we have to do this, and this. And then we had to just set ourselves up for failure. So every single hour I actually put into building the code to run it automatically, pretty much scrapped, and then started from the beginning after I sent emails on my own, because then I knew what actually had to go into it. If you just don't do that, if you just go straight to automation, then you will really set yourself up for failure. You won't understand exactly how the system runs. You may get it to run kind of automatic, but then it will fail in the middle and you'll be confused about why the heck. But if you ran it yourself, then you would know, oh, at this, and this time, something like this, and this happens. And then you would know. But because you never actually ran it, you'll just set yourself up for failure. It's really, really, really important to know just your systems before you set it up to be automated. If you know how to set it up, if you already set it up and you have run your system, then yes, go ahead and make it automatic. It will just benefit you. But you first of all still have to know how the system runs. And to really set up automations, you also have to be willing to put in time and money, depending on the solution you choose. The cheapest one is making the code yourself, and it's also the most modular. Then you have probably the easiest to set up, which is the VA, and then you have the quickest to set up, which is other softwares. Most of the time, the most expensive one will also be the VA, depending on exactly how you set it up with him. But it's also always good to have a human touch. That's also why I prefer either a VA or coding it on our own, because if we code it on our own, then we can put in the human touch. A lot of the time, for example, with an email system, an email sending system, what it actually does is it goes into the API, crawls around in the HTML script, and then just goes in and tries and reads things normal people can't. And Google, they, oh, oh, she's this person is crawling around in here. Would a normal person do that? No. And then you would get flagged for spam even quicker, and your deliverability would just shoot down. It would just crash down. But if you do it yourself through a script you have made yourself, then you can set it up to only do human-like interactions. Oh, it's just quickly checking. Yeah, it seems it matches now. Yeah, let's go over here. And then you can also set in random intervals. So it has to be random with between these milliseconds, because then for Google it looks completely random. Then it'll be exactly like if, for example, a VA did it. And it would actually be even better because it's even more random. It's consistently more random. In general, the best thing to do is run the system yourself for 5 weeks, and then if you have the time, then set up a script, for example a Python script that just does it for you. Now you may be confused about pretty much everything coding, but I just wanted to clarify something quickly with you. You only need a weekend. If you really set yourself up for it, then you need maybe a week. The weekend just to learn the fundamentals, and then the week to just set everything up correctly, testing it and going from there. You can always search on Google or YouTube. Everything with programming is pretty much documented in there, or you can just go on GitHub and find someone else who has done exactly what you need. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you are a coach, consultant, trainer, mentor, or anything kind of like those, then if you click on the first link in the description, you'll be sent over to a sales funnel with my business partner Christian, where he just quickly explains what we can help you with. For us, it doesn't really matter if you click on it or not. We just want to put out as much knowledge as possible to help everyone in these kinds of situations to actually set up their reliable systems. Now, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, then go ahead and subscribe.